You're listening to ABA One-on-One Podcast.
Sassy Bee Worldwide Productions. With over 25 years of entertainment experience, we have done it all. Celebrity appearances, red carpet events, image consultation, and branding design. Our clients range from American football stars to Hollywood celebrities and everyone in between. Want to make a splash in the entertainment industry? Then it's time to get sassy. SassyBeeWorldwide.com.
Have you heard of Modere? They have some of the safest products on the planet, free from over 3,000 harmful ingredients. They send me product specials and birthday surprises, and every time I order, I could win a Modere Escape from the rewards program. The easy-to-use app means I can order anywhere, anytime. Give it a try. Download the app. Use my promo code 3I6W8K and get $10 shopping credit on your first order. Share with friends and they get $10 as well. Modere. Stylish, safer, smarter.
Modere is a proud sponsor of ABA One-on-One. We have lots of athletes using their liquid biocells like former NFL player Willie Harper. Have a look for yourself. You can either go to www.modere.com or www.modere.com.au. Use our show promo code 3I6W8K. Get $10 off on your first order. It costs you nothing to look. The best way to keep up with everything happening around here at ABA One-on-One is to join our monthly newsletter. Just for joining, we give you $230 worth of free gifts from our sponsors once you confirm your email address. You can unsubscribe at any time, but why would you? Just go to our website, www.aba1on1.club, scroll to the bottom of the page, and subscribe. Hey guys, it's time for a new episode of ABA One-on-One.
Open up, yeah. Open up now. Open up. Open up, yeah. Open up. Open up now.
Hey guys, welcome to another ABA One-on-One. Today we have in the house John Wetzel, along with Rick and Brian. We're doing it again. John, we want to say welcome, and let's get into talking about some basketball. Welcome to ABA One-on-One.
Hey, thanks for the invitation. I'm honored to be with you today.
All right. Hey, we're gonna just jump straight to it. We want to hear about, like, when you started your career, college, Virginia Tech, and we want to get Rick in because, like we said, he got some championship stories there from Virginia Tech as well, even though it's backyard beat Virginia Tech. But what was what was your college career like, and then getting into the pros and your career moving forward?
Well, I would say I was a lightly recruited high school player. I had maybe a half a dozen offers, and I had visited at Virginia Tech and really felt comfortable there. I felt real comfortable with the surroundings, the players, the coaching staff, and it was an easy decision for me to make. And I had no idea when I was a freshman that I would eventually be good enough to be drafted into the NBA and actually to make that my life career. And I had no idea. And back in the day, we had to play a year of freshman ball. So we had a freshman team, all 5 scholarship players, and we played about a 14-game schedule. And we won them all except for one. And then as a sophomore, I was a regular player. I didn't start. I started periodically off and on, but I was a regular player. And I think the highlight of my sophomore year, we played at North Carolina. We played Carolina every year, or 2 years, my sophomore and senior year, but they would not come to Blacksburg. We had to go down to their place to play them. I don't know if they were afraid to play or just didn't
imagine that.
And so we go down, I'm a sophomore, and we end up on I forgot. It was a game of the week. What was it? Pilot Insurance Game of the Week.
Pilot Game of the Week.
And
Pilot.
we ended up playing in the afternoon at the old arena. Billy Cunningham was playing, Lee Respis, and there were some real good players. And we ended up beating them in a double overtime, 90-88, I think it was. And I had some real good plays in that game and actually helped us to win the game. And it really was the beginning of my feeling good about myself as a player. It gave me real good shot of confidence, and I carried that over my junior year. Then my senior year is when I really I played a lot more consistently. I was a 6'4", 6'5", small forward, and I was my senior year. I was a leading scorer, leading rebounder, and leading. I think I was number 8 in the country in making my free throws. So I had a real good year, and we ended up losing the first round of the NIT in New York City to Temple University, and then I was drafted by the Lakers, and went to the Los Angeles for rookie camp. Had a real good camp. My conditioning was good, so I was able to sustain where some of the other players who hadn't played much ball in the spring were not able to do that. So I got invited back to Veterans Camp in September, and going along for about week or 10 days. And our center at the time was a guy named Daryl Imhoff, and Daryl, his nickname was Axe, because I was playing against him in a scrimmage, and I faked him off his feet. And later I heard that you never do that, because he went up and was coming down. I went up to make the shot, and he elbowed me on the wrist and broke my wrist. So I didn't play the first year. I went back to Tech and helped with the freshman team. And then my first year playing was 1967 with the Lakers. And interesting story there. I was just a roster player. I was a good athlete, pretty good player, but I'm playing behind a guy you may have heard of. His name is Jerry West. And
have you guys heard of him?
Vaguely, just vaguely.
Well, anyway, we're about 2 weeks to 10 days before the beginning of the season, and Jerry breaks his wrist.
Oh,
so lo and behold, here my first 10 games as a rookie, they put me in the starting lineup, and I played. I played on as not big minutes, but I played. And we had a guy named Gail Goodrich.
Another unknown.
Some other guys that were real seasoned players, and they really played more of the minutes. And then when Jerry came back, I didn't play much.
Wow.
Obviously, he was a 40-minute player, and there weren't a lot of minutes for me as a third guard at that point. But it was a great experience watching one of the all-time greats night after night after night. And along with Elgin Baylor, we were we went to the finals that year against the Celtics.
Wow. Hey, and you got to tell us, Rick alluded to it earlier, that you're the only NBA player to be drafted into the Vietnam War.
Yeah, I'm old enough that when I came out of school, they still had the draft, the Army draft, and at the end of my rookie year, lo and behold, I get my draft notice and had to go into basic training at Fort Ord, California, and
wow,
and ended up missing 2 seasons, and I eventually went into the Signal Corps. I went to Fort Gordon, Georgia, in the Signal Corps, and then the last 5 months of my tour, I had to go to Vietnam.
Wow.
And it was a tough experience. The good thing was I didn't have any injuries. I didn't get any shrapnel. I didn't get shot at that I know of, and I came out of it pretty much unscathed. And then when I got back out of the Army, I came to Phoenix. Phoenix had drafted me in the expansion draft of 1968. So I get out of the Army in December of '69, and I'm now property of the Phoenix Suns. So I ended up playing 3 years in Phoenix, and 3 years in Atlanta. So I ended up playing 7 years, and then after I finished playing, I went back to school for a year to get my degree. I hadn't finished. I was one of those guys that just didn't keep up with my work, and I always wanted to graduate. So the first year out, I went back to Blacksburg and got my degree, and I actually coached the girls team. It was the first year they were varsity sport, and I was their coach, and then I got back in the NBA as an assistant coach in 1979. So I spent 31 years in the league, 7 as a player, 24 as a coach.
Wow.
Yeah, guys, John is one of those guys, like I was talking to him earlier. He loved school. It was the classes he had problems with.
Yeah, it's been a great experience if I didn't have to get up and go to all these doggone classes.
I told CJ that story. The kid I had in junior college. I said, "How's it going, man?" He said, "Man, I love school. Man, girls, the food, and it's great." But he said, "In classes, I'm having a lot of issues with these classes."
I was telling Rick on the phone a little bit ago that Doug Moe, who was a longtime NBA coach, Doug was just one of a kind, crazy guy, and he was told a story to somebody. He said, "This would be a great job if we didn't have to play all these doggone games."
Oh my God. Hey, Rick, you gotta tell me, man. You said John was the guy that used to pass you the ball in the BY Virginia Tech games, backyard Virginia Tech games.
Yeah, I was joking. I used back in, when you're growing up, you have all these fantasies in your backyard. And I had a great basket back. It was a little small coliseum. It was just that one basket, and I had a dirt court, and couldn't play on it when it rained, obviously. But otherwise, yeah, I won a lot of championships back there. It was somehow it always worked out. I ended up getting the ball at the last few seconds and made the shot to win the game.
Yeah, yeah. You had sticky fingers. Once it hit your hands, it never went to anybody else.
Yeah, that's right. But it was, again, what a treat it is to have John Wetzel on here. Because like I followed him, when I was in high school, and I being from Virginia, and I was always a big fan of his. And he and I was reminiscing this afternoon about some of the old players. But the thing I do want to mention, the ABA, if I'm not mistaken, came into existence about the time you came out of Virginia Tech. Is that right?
Yeah, I played. I think this league, the ABA started the year after I got out. My graduating class was +66, and the next year was the institution of the ABA, and I had already committed to the Lakers, so I didn't. I had a couple of teammates that played, and I followed them. One being Ron Perry, who you know, and the other being Glenn Combs.
Okay.
Glenn was a real good college player, great shooter, had great range, and he and Ron went to the ABA, and I played in the NBA. So from our senior year, we were the 3 players that played professional basketball.
Wow. Hey, wow. Why you just touched on that? I gotta do a shout out because I know he's gonna be listening to the show. Ron Perry sent me some signed photos and things, and his player card, and man, I want to really do a big shout out to him. Thanks for that, because man, he just went overboard. Like, it was just so nice. Got probably about eight good photographs with him and Rick Barry and a few other people. So definitely want to do a big shout out to him for that.
Yeah, Ron was a good teammate, a good friend, and we still stay in touch today, some 50 odd years later, and we're still friends. So we've had a lifelong relationship. He's one of the good guys.
When you live in Maui, you have a lot of friends.
Yeah. We have a respect.
I'm hoping we can become better friends.
We can. Let's move the show there.
Yeah, we have to broadcast from Maui one day. Yeah, we definitely have to.
At least just 1 week.
Yeah. But Ron Perry, though, I was telling John, he's one of those that I got that thing from before. He never let the truth stand in the way of a good story. And,
the shot doctor.
Yeah, shot doctor.
Yep, the shot doctor. Yep.
Unfortunately, nobody's sick. You don't need a doctor.
That's right. Well, we have a 2-bedroom condo in Maui, but we have a special setup. We on our guest bedroom, we have a special lock, and if after 3 days the room locks and you can't get back in, so you got to leave.
And 3.
So you're good for 3 days.
Okay.
John, just a quick question. See, you're a player who played in the NBA, and like I did a little research on you, John. You were drafted in one of the late rounds.
Yeah.
I myself was drafted in the late round. Do you think that with today's game, and it's only being 1 or 2 rounds nowadays, that a lot of players get overlooked? Those same talented players like yourself that they get overlooked because of the limitations of a draft?
Well, I think to a degree, the difference from today back to in the 60s when I got drafted, there were only 10 teams.
Yeah.
Today there are 30 teams. So if you have 2 rounds, that's 60 players. And if you had 10 teams, I think I was like something like a 7th round pick. So I would have been like the 75th player pick. So basically it was a few more players, but the number of teams today precludes having 4, 5, 6 rounds because
That's a great point.
You exhausted the talent pool, and there aren't enough good players to go around.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a great point. I hadn't thought about it. That's a great point. There was only 10 or 12 teams then.
Yeah, I think there were 10. And there may have been 8 teams when I was drafted, and then they added the 2 expansion teams were Seattle and San Diego, and then 1970, I believe it was Portland and Cleveland. I think Portland, Cleveland, maybe one, and Milwaukee came in.
Yeah, in '76 you got 4 ABA teams that cross over after '76.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
they absorbed I was trying to think. It's Indiana,
the
Denver.
Yes, the Nets and the Spurs.
San Antonio. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Nice man.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm working on getting him on the show too.
Oh, good. I think he's really an interesting guy. I don't really know him, but just having watched him and now watching him a little bit today, you see him occasionally on TV. He looks like a nice man.
Yeah. Well, I watched a podcast with him. Actually, one of the guys we had on our show, Paul McKeskey, had him on his podcast show, and it was really great to hear him say how much he loved the ABA and basketball and how it made his career what it is, and so I'm like, I gotta reach out to Paul, get him on the show.
Yeah, Paul McKeskey. Yeah.
CJ, John, we were talking today. He played on one of the legends of all time in Phoenix. We were talking about today, Connie Hawkins, and I know you and Brian know that name, Connie Hawkins.
Oh yeah,
he was a precursor to Dr. J.
He really was. He did a lot of the stuff that Dr. J did.
Yeah.
He did it probably not in the national spotlight at the time, and did it in his own way. He was really, really talented, and when he turned it on, I mean, you couldn't guard the guy. He was just so wiry and strong, and got to the basket with that one hand. And yeah.
That one hand was like a claw, is what it was.
Yeah.
We remember him well, man.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Hawk was a good teammate. He was kind of low keyed in his personality and laid back, and he was a good team. He was fun to be around, and he was a fun guy to have on your team, and fun to watch.
Awesome.
John, let me ask you another question. When you was with Sacramento, that was during the years that you guys had Lottie D back and Jay Will and all those guys, and it was the notorious battles with the Lakers with Shaq and those guys. Was that about the same era?
Yeah. We had trouble. We couldn't get by LA in the West, and let's see, what year was it was in 2002, I believe. We had I think we had the best record in the league, and we lost to LA in the finals of the West. We couldn't get by them, and but other than that, we won a lot of games. You know, Jay Will was one of those guys that I'm sure you've seen some of his highlights, and
he was fantastic.
He was an unbelievable talent, and he could do things that you really don't see guys do. He had great vision on the floor. He could throw the ball 60, 75 feet. He would throw a lob, and the guy'd catch it by the rim and dunk. He was one of those guys that kept everybody on their toes. And every night we played, we get back to the hotel, and he's on Sports Center. One of his plays.
Wow.
He was wow. That kind of player.
Wow.
I really enjoyed
on that team,
him.
John?
Pardon me?
Was Chris Webber on that one of those teams?
Yeah, our front line was Vlade Divac and Webb, and then the first year we had Corliss Williamson as our small forward.
Yeah, Arkansas. Yeah.
Yeah, Corliss was a horse. He was big nasty. And then after Corliss, Peja Stojakovic came into his own. He became a starter, and Peja was one of the great shooters at the time.
Shooter.
And then we had we traded Jay Will for Mike Bibby. So our other backcourt players were Mike Bibby and Doug Christie. So we were really talented. We were really talented, and
wow.
And we had John Barry for a couple of years. We had our other backup guard was can't remember his name right now. I'll think of it. But we had a real nice bench, guys coming off the bench and contributed. So that we have 7, 8, 9 players. You really have a chance to be pretty good.
Oh yeah.
You mentioned Doug Christie. I thought he was one of the most kind of underrated players that I've seen in a long time. That he brought a lot to the game. And I used to watch those teams of yours, Sacramento, and I thought he was a key factor in a lot of stuff that the success of that team. Yeah.
Doug did a lot of the dirty work. He was really a top-notch defender. He could, he guard his man, and he'd get after him, and he had good hands. He could get steals and deflections, and he was really, really hard, played hard too. He played every possession all out. He didn't take any plays off, and he was one of those guys that you knew every night what you're going to get from him.
Yeah.
The other guard I was trying to think of that was really a contributor was Vernon Maxwell.
Oh yeah.
We had Mad Max there for a year or two, and he really was a good player for us too, and hard worker.
Yeah.
Wow.
Man, hey, well, who was at Atlanta when you were there?
When I played in Atlanta, our starters were Walt Bellamy, Jimmy Washington, Lou Hudson, Herm Gilliam.
Wow.
Sweet Lou, Herm Gilliam, and Pete Maravich.
There we go. That's why it was hitting me in the head. I was trying to remember. Yeah, that's a great team. That's a great team.
Yeah, and we were very talented. Lou was a great shooter. Obviously everybody knows about Pistol, what kind of player he was, and Bells was a good. He was kind of at the end of his career when I got there, but quality player. We were pretty good. We weren't great, but Pete was the name player.
Oh yeah,
and
we had Butch Beard on, John. I was telling you, and Butch Beard was talking about when he was with the Knicks, and they had Walt Frazier, and they had the defensive stoppers. They held Pistol Pete to 60 one night.
Well, Pete,
and he was talking with Pete. Just went off that night. Said he had the capability of he got hot. He's hitting hook shots from the corner, and
that was Pete. But then the next night he might go 1 for 20.
Wow. Wow.
But Pete was one of the all-time talents, and of course Frazier could guard everybody, and
Man.
but yeah, the interesting thing is about professional basketball players, when a talented guy gets it going, the nights you can't stop him. You can put whoever you want on him, you can't stop him.
Yeah.
Most recently Jordan has had those nights, and Kobe would have those nights, and the other guy that would have, we don't talk about him a lot, is Larry Bird would have those nights.
Oh yeah.
And
Yes.
they could, you can't stop them. They could make fallaways. They come off a screen and have two guys on them and shoot it. It goes in. It's just a real talent.
Yeah,
And,
people remember the Larry Bird ones. So just don't talk about it that much, because a tall, red-headed guy just scoring all over you in basketball just doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
Larry Legend.
There was one year he
great.
was in a 3-point contest, and they would have elimination. Well, he won to go to the finals, and he goes back in the locker room, and the other finals, I think it was I can't remember who won the other bracket. And the guy comes in the locker room, and apparently Larry Bird says, "Well, now we know who's going to be second." That's all he said. And of course, he intimidated the guy, and he goes out and wins the championship, wins the 3-point shooting. And
Wow.
that's the kind of guy Bird was. He was a big trash talker.
Oh yeah.
But the thing about being a trash talker, he could back it up.
Back it up.
yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Now, John, you were the head coach one season, and
Yeah.
because a very good friend of mine, God rest his soul, he passed away a few years ago. You guys drafted was Armand Gilliam.
Yeah.
Could you give us a little insight into that team that you guys had? Because I know that was a tough team.
Yeah.
That was a real tough team.
It was a tough situation. Looking back, the year before, there was we had a drug problem. We had guys were unbeknownst to, we were doing some illegal stuff, and there was a big investigation. The league got involved, the FBI, I think, got involved, and there was a lot of turmoil around the team. And then the next year, they give me the job and for trying to sort this whole thing out. And then we drafted Armand as our first-round pick. He's a big, strong guy, and unfortunately, he got, I think, at first game of the season, he got hurt, so he missed some time, and we just never got it going, and it was one thing after another the whole season. And we tried to play guys that were had been under investigation the year before and said some things about each other, and so it was really an untenable situation. We couldn't get it going in the right direction, and then the next year they went back to, they brought Cotton back in, and I got relieved of my responsibilities and went to Portland as an assistant, which worked out good for me.
Okay.
Because we had 2 years in Portland where we go to the finals in 1990 and 1992.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I used to have, because again, like I said, me and Armin, we were really good friends. When I first went to school, and we were roommates. We shared this little room in Independence, Kansas. And I went off to Santa Barbara, and he went off to UNLV. But the thing about it, we used to talk, and some of the names that I can recall that he had, that he was mentioning at that time, guys like Craig Hodges and Jeff Hornacek, and who else he said, like Larry Nance and, Walter Davis, Sweet Walter D, these guys are all a part of that team. And, we used to talk about it, some of his experiences there, So, and I remember now, just having our conversation, it's like, oh, that's right, John was the coach. So, we had all those guys, and Hornacek was really a fine player, and Larry Nance was, he was a real solid individual, good player. And middle of the season, we made that deal. We traded Mike Sanders and Larry Nance to Cleveland for Kevin Johnson. That's how Kevin Johnson got to Phoenix.
Wow, that's a good trade. That was Walter Davis on that team, John?
Yeah, Walter. He
Lee Walter.
probably had the best looking jump shot of anybody I've ever been around.
Whew.
Beautiful
Sweet
form.
Walter D.
Walter Davis could play.
Oh yeah, he could score. I mean, he come off. We set a little baseline screen and bring him out to the wing. He catch and shoot. Oh, he was really. They call him Sweet D.
Sweet
Yep.
D. Yeah.
North Carolina.
Yeah,
There you
he was
go.
good.
North Carolina.
Yeah,
Great mid-range game. Great
yeah,
mid-range
yeah.
game.
Yeah, man.
And you know, John, you mentioned Craig Hodges.
yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong here, but I doubt it. Craig Hodges was the other guy on that three-point shooting contest that we were talking about.
You're right. Craig Hodges was the guy I couldn't think of that came in the locker room and
Yeah.
played in the finals. It was Craig Hodges. I couldn't think of it.
Oops, there it is.
Yeah.
Who's gonna finish
yeah.
second?
There you,
You know,
go.
when you get to be my age, it takes a little while to get it pull it out of there.
Don't worry about it. Take your time. It's all about.
It's there
right
though, John. It's there. It's
there.
It's there.
Is there?
Yes, indeed.
All right, John, we do have to ask you this. We started to run down on time here. We've probably got about 6-7 minutes up here. But do you have a favorite NBA story? You know, one that you tell at the bar.
I don't. Well, I don't have any one in particular, but one happened off the floor. When I was playing in Phoenix, we had Mel Counts, a 7-foot guy, and Clem Haskins and we went out to dinner in Detroit. After a game, we go to this Lindell's AC and have a hamburger and probably a beer, and we're walking back to the hotel. Mel was this big, gawky guy, and Clem had a brand new leather jacket on.
Uh-oh.
Probably hadn't had it more than a week, and so he's wearing this thing on the first road trip. And Mel, all out of the blue, just jumps on his back like a big albatross, jumps on his back and rips the coat right down the middle on the back. And he was
Authentic leather.
Leather, you know, those things back in the day, we didn't make any money, and that thing set Clem back probably $300-400. And that's the kind of stuff we did. You know, if you're a player and you're an athlete, the locker room stuff is what makes the job fun.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
and we had, you know, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the locker room and on the floor, and some you can talk about, some you can't. It just happens, and you can't talk about it. And
oh yeah.
What happens in the locker room stays in the locker room.
it really, and you know, I think the game today is so much. It's so much more than just playing ball. It's the entertainment. You know, now the players are superstars. You see them on TV, and they're doing ads, and they're representing companies and making more money than they'll ever be able to spend, and which is good. More power to them. But you know, we weren't like that. We had roommates. We roomed together, and we flew commercial. We flew at coach, and that's just the way it was. And you didn't know any better. Yeah. And
you know, you talk about the endorsements. We were talking to a guy today. The guy was naming all the endorsements that Shaq has now.
Oh yeah.
And he's got like 7 different companies, everything from skincare to pizza.
Yeah.
And,
and the insurance, general insurance. He has all this stuff.
Yeah, I saw that.
And he's, you know, and he doesn't come cheap. So.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
I think Shaq's one of the good guys. You know, if he gives a lot of money away, and if somebody needs something, he gives them money and helps them get over the hump. He's a good guy. Yeah. And I think Chuck Barkley is a good guy too. He's, you know, together they really are funny on TV. I enjoy watching them.
Oh yeah.
People, that's supposed to be the best halftime show in all the sports.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. They get. And the good thing about Chuck, you never know what he's going to say. You have no idea what's going to come out of his mouth, and
That's why we like him. That's why we
That's
like
exactly right. It's nothing scripted. It's just off the top of what he thinks.
Yeah.
He's the one that said, I may be wrong, but I doubt it.
Yeah.
But I told John that story today, CJ, about his college coach, Sonny Smith, had said that the only reason they got Barkley is they went to 35,000, and the other guy, Alabama, stopped at 32.5. They were bidding on $1,500 increments because everybody was in the SEC. You know, that was if you're not paying the players, you ain't gonna get them. And so funny, those recruiting stories back in those days were notorious.
Oh
Yeah.
man, I can imagine. I can imagine. Well, guys, look, it's been really, really, really fun and really, really informative. We're about to wrap this thing up. I just want to turn around and say to John, hey, thank you for being on the show and passing on some cool knowledge. And we did not know that you're the only NBA player that ever been drafted into the war. That's just totally on a level all by itself.
I'm going to
appreciate that.
My next trivia game.
Yeah, we're going to put that. We start using that as trivia. Yeah.
Hey, CJ, I might see you in Sydney in January of 22. We have a trip scheduled December of 21, and we're going to be in Australia we're going to do a cruise, and then we're going to be in Sydney for about 10 days. I got your number.
Excellent. Don't worry. We'll man, that'd be great. That'd be awesome.
Yeah,
that'd
maybe
be awesome.
Fantastic.
Maybe we'll have some lunch.
And we're only,
when you going to have me, CJ?
Yeah, we're only
I'm sorry?
I'm just telling you, we're only a 9-hour flight from Hawaii, so I can get there.
Yeah,
sleep.
yeah.
But Rick, we got to do something, man. We're trying to get you out here. Don't worry.
Yeah,
All right, guys. We got to say goodbye, man. But really, thank everyone for being on. And thank you out there for listening to ABA 101. And we'll be back doing it again. And Rick, as always.
Never let the truth stand in the way of a good story.
There we go. There we go. All right, gentlemen. Thank you, guys. And let's do it again.
Yes.
Hey, John.
Okay.
All right.
John.
Take care,
Appreciate
guys. All right.
Really appreciate
it. Peace.
The American Basketball Association is the largest pro league in the world. Some great opportunities for team ownership are available, and the cost may surprise you. If you've ever thought about team ownership in a pro league, give us the opportunity to help make it a reality. Reach out to us for more info. For USA teams at www.abaliveaction.com. In Australia, go to www.abaleagueaustralia.com.
Well, that's going to do it for this week. Remember, you can keep up with every episode by subscribing via our website. Follow us on social media and tell your friends about us. Next week, new guests, more basketball tips, more basketball stories about the game we all love. Till then, be safe and keep your eyes on the ball.
Give him a bone.